Today we're reading Wren. We're on chapter 7, 6 for Marie and 6 for Wren. The game was getting to be more fun every day because new and interesting things were added. Wren had been crawling for about 6 months, and the doctor said it was now time for her to start to learn to walk. Believe it or not, he ordered skis to teach her. The skis had a harness on the board to keep Wren's feet from slipping, and there were upright poles in front of each board. Here's a picture. These she held as she stood to help keep her balance. When she first started to use them, Daddy and Mommy Pom had to stand behind her and push the skis forward until Wren's muscles grew strong enough to do it for herself. They sprinkled cornmeal on the floor to make it slippery, and it was just like sliding over snow. It looked like it, too. Marie's friends and Wren's friends used to argue over whose turn it was to use the skis when Wren was finished. Because Wren's balance was still not very good, there was a chance that she would fall. If she fell, she would probably get hurt unless she could be taught to fall properly. And it was teaching Wren to fall that her family and friends had the most fun at all at the game. Daddy put a mattress in the middle of the living room floor. Then he and Mummy took turns showing the children how to fall without getting hurt. You do this by twisting your body, remembering to keep your head up, and using your hands to break the fall. To show how it should be done, Dad would invite Mom Pom to push him down. Then he would push her down. Then one of the children would push Marie, and pretty soon 5 or 6 yelling children would be shoving and pushing and falling. It was exciting and wonderfully noisy. After 2 or 3 weeks, Wren was falling as beautifully as any of her pals and making just as much noise. One evening, a couple days after Easter, Mummy and Daddy and Marie and Wren were lying on the mattress. Wren's friends had gone home. The family was exhausted, for they had been playing the game for over half an hour. Suddenly, there jumped up on the mattress a present that the Easter Bunny had brought. It was small and gray and furry. It was also fat. It had big blue eyes and long, long ears. It had a little black nose and a tail like a pom-pom on Marie's Scotch cap. And best of all, it was alive. It was a baby rabbit. Marie had named her Babbit. "How did you think of that name?" her father had asked her. "It was easy," Marie told him. "I just mixed up bunny and rabbit and it came out Babbit." Babbit loved the game as much as anyone, but she loved it best when the family was on the mattress and she could play a game of her own. It was a combination of tag, hide and seek, dart, and nibble. She particularly liked to play with the girls' braids. Wren's were almost as long as Marie's. Daddy caught Babbit and tossed her on Wren's neck. She hid there for a minute, then dashed right down the middle of Wren's back, giving her thin legs a sideways flick as she ran. The last time she had done this, she had fallen head over heels off the side of the mattress. She had looked so surprised that Marie had run to get her camera, but by the time she got back, Babbit was off to some new mischief. Now Babbit sneaked around the edge of the mattress until she came to Daddy's shoe. She sat down, she looked at the shoe, she looked at the lace. She bent her head, grabbed the lace in her teeth, and started to tug. Daddy bent down, picked her up, and put her on his head. She muzzled his hair for a little while and then slyly inched her way down his back, under his chin, where she curled up and proceeded to nibble his necktie. Then, while she nibbled, she twitched her nose. "Can you twitch your nose?" Marie said, "I like Claire Newberry's marshmallow," which was, if you remember, the name of the rabbit in the book she had been given for her birthday. "Let's recite our favorite marshmallow poem," Marie suggested. So the whole family began to chant. "A bunny nibbles all day long. A bunny doesn't think it's wrong. He nibbles mittens, mufflers, mops. He only pauses when he hops. He nibbles curtains, neckties, shoes. He only stops to take a snooze. Sofa pillows, ribbons, rugs. He takes a mouthful, then he tugs. Galoshes, boxes, books, and string. A bunny nibbles everything. A bunny's a delightful habit. No home's complete without a rabbit." Daddy built a nice house for Babbit. It was big, and he filled it with sweet, fresh straw. It had a wooden back and sides, but the front was all glass. Mom Pom teased Daddy about the way he worked on Babbit's house. She was delighted when he put Wren and Princess to work on it, too. Wren sat in a chair. She didn't need a special one anymore and held the nails. Daddy would hold a piece of wood in the right place and Marie would hammer. This amused Mummy because she said Babbitt lives in the house with us. Whatever does she need her own house for? Daddy chided her. In the first place, sweetheart, it's not called a house. It's called a hutch, and someday she will have babies, and then she will need it. Why? Asked Wren. Because, Daddy explained, no one may touch a baby rabbit for at least a week after it's born. One Sunday morning, in late summer, the family were all out in the yard waiting for Daddy to drive them to church. He came out of the house with Babbitt in his arms, and he walked over and put her in the hutch. Oh, Daddy, don't! Wren was almost crying. She'll be lonesome. She really will, Daddy, said Marie. No, she won't, her father said, looking mysterious. You'll see. Wren started to cry, and Marie made a very disagreeable face and stamped her foot in temper. Her mother and father just looked at her. I'm going to let her out, said Marie, and walked over to put her hand on the latch. That, Princess, would be disobedience, her father said in a stern voice. I don't care, Marie retorted. If you think about it, I think you will, her mother said. It will make Daddy and me very unhappy. But what's most important, it will make God unhappy. When you love someone, you don't make him unhappy. Marie took her hand away. She bit her lip. She looked at her mother and father. Her father said, and it would be a bad example for Wren. Marie leaned against the hutch and looked down at the ground. She still wanted to let Babbitt out, but she was on her way to God's house, and she decided she couldn't make him unhappy and then visit him. That would be the most awful kind of rudeness, and God would think she didn't love him. Marie sighed a big sigh. Mother looked at her and smiled. Never mind, darling. Being good because you love God is often hard. It's hard for grown-ups, too. But you'll never be sorry, I promise you. Marie and Wren gave Babbitt a final kiss and a pat and went off to church. As soon as they were back home, they all hurried to the hutch to tell her they were going to take her into the house, and they hoped she hadn't missed them too much. But Babbitt was not alone. She was lying down, and beside and around her were 12 baby bunnies.